Secretary of State Frank LaRose is ordering county election boards to adopt stricter policies regarding drop boxes. That order will change the rules for people helping voters with disabilities. Brady Williams joins us after talking to a group that does just that.
Yeah, so the Ohio State Code does allow for folks to submit ballots on behalf of other people, but you have to be one of two kinds of people. You can either be a family member who's been given permission to cast that ballot, or you can be someone who is helping someone with a disability who can't quite make it out to the polls. Time was you would have just used one of these drop boxes if you were doing that, but as of this weekend, Frank LaRose is changing that. He's added a few more steps if you want to submit on behalf of someone else.
Not every polling place in Hamilton County is accessible to people with disabilities.
Rob Festenstein works with Independence Alliance. They provide services to people with disabilities, and one of those services is helping them vote.
And we work to make sure from an advocacy perspective that there are options for people with disabilities to be able to vote just as anyone else would, without any barriers and without being disenfranchised.
He says if someone has a disability that prevents them from voting in person, they have two paths: vote by mail or send someone to drop off their ballot. This year, Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose is tightening restrictions on drop-off ballots. If you're dropping off for someone else, you can't use a drop-off box. You have to go into the Board of Elections during their hours, and you'll also need to sign a form attesting that you're following the law. LaRose said in a statement to Fox 19 that Ohio has, quote, an unacceptable level of risk to the integrity of our process. He says he was left with no choice but to implement this thoughtful and balanced policy in response. He says he can also confidently say it is just as easy, if not easier, to simply mail an absentee ballot or drop it off inside the Board of Elections. Hamilton County Democrats held a press conference on Tuesday speaking out against it. Representative Greg Landsman called it a, quote, last-minute change to the rules designed to confuse voters and restrict our right to vote. We asked Festenstein about how the change might affect folks with disabilities and the people working to help them.
We don't take a political lens to this. We look at it strictly from the perspective of accessibility for people with disabilities. I believe that requiring someone to make sure that they're following the law as opposed to just simply dropping your ballot in a secure box, again, is an undue burden.
LaRose said in his statement, quote, it is my duty to maintain the careful balance between security and convenience. He says he is proud that it's both easy to vote and hard to cheat in Ohio. Festenstein says he certainly knows Hamilton County's Board of Elections does a great job catering to folks with disabilities.
They have worked very well with us to make sure that voting is as accessible as possible. And one of the biggest areas
So one of the things he says that folks will also do, especially here at Hamilton County, is you can do curbside voting. So if you drive up, they'll make sure that a Republican and Democratic election judge will come out and check and take your ballot. Now he says whatever method it is you're using, however you may need help, they will do that for you with Independence Alliance and similar organizations. So he says if you have a disability, you're worried about being able to cast your vote, just reach out to one of them and they'll make sure that you can get that done. Live in Norwood alongside photojournalist Phil Krinsky, Brady Williams, Fox 19 Now.